Are there some people that just can't do a ketogenic or carnivore diet because they have a ApoE4 gene variant? Welcome everyone to my very humble channel. Now let's go into the deep dive of how some people have been told that they cannot eat a saturated fat or high cholesterol diet because they have an ApoE4 gene variant. Now there's ApoE2 and there's 3, but 4 is the worst. People have a very difficult time metabolizing saturated fats and cholesterol. So let's get into it. There are people out there that have the MTHFR gene mutation. They might have the double or single gene mutation. They might be homo or heterozygous, whatever. The point is, these people have a difficult utilizing and absorbing B12 and folate. Okay. Which we need to methylate, which is a sort of a cellular cleanup. But I digress. The ApoE4 variant that some people have. Now, apparently these people are at a very high risk of Alzheimer's and heart disease because they can't transport cholesterol very well. So it plaques, or does it? I said this years ago when I was doing videos about MTHFR gene mutation in people, which is a lot of people on this planet have MTHFR. Doesn't matter. Your body will find a way with variants or mutations to clean up itself, to do the job, have all the enzymatic responses, the worker bees doing the job to keep your body in balance. It's not the problem that you have these very common gene mutations or variants. The problem is the inflammation that you guys are walking around in a pool of garbage. We don't sleep well. We have LED lights that sit there and flicker and frack your brain up. We are close to the Wi-Fi and microwaves and plastics, chemicals in our food, in the air, in the water. It's everywhere. So the best thing that you can do is try to have your body perform as best as it can by getting rid of all this garbage food, by following a circadian rhythm to put your body back in balance so you can release growth hormone and repair at night, that first chunk of sleep. Things like hydrating the cells, working out, breathing, moving the body, changing the way that you think. That's how your body can deal with the enormity of chemicals and toxic exposure along with poor quality food and stress. Can these people with ApoE4 do a keto or carnivore? Can people with MTHFR do a keto or carnivore diet? Of course. But more specifically, ApoE4. If you have that variant, right? If you have 2, it's beneficial. If you have 3, it's like, eh. If you have 2, 3, it's like, But if you have 4, it's like, eh. That these people are 10 times more at risk of developing Alzheimer's. That's not really a problem. People always think that, cancer is running in the family, but that's not how it works. That's not how cancer works. If you do the same stupid thing that a parent did in terms of health, lifestyle, food, then you might have a propensity of developing disease like your parent. That is the genetic link, not the fact that somebody had breast cancer and you're going to have breast cancer eating perfectly well, breathing clean air and drinking clean water. No, it's when you push your genes up against the wall and really, really, really put your body under stress and don't face yourself in the mirror and make those changes. People have been told if they're doing a carnivore diet or a keto diet, they need to go and drink olive oil and avoid cholesterol and saturated fat Nonsense. No. Even though you might have this ApoE4 variant, which does not transport cholesterol very well, that's because your body's inflamed. So it just makes it more difficult. But your body still can transport cholesterol to the brain without it sticking and plaquing and shrinking your brain cells. I found a video on Dr. Saivez and also another doctor. I'm going to show you some of their commentary on this subject of ApoE4.
Fellow Australian, by the way, Chris Hemsworth, he was on this show called Limitless, and a doctor told him, and this is a perfect example to answer your question. A doctor told him that he has a certain version of the ApoE gene, which means he has an 8 to 10 times elevated risk of dementia. Another version of that gene means you have a 17 to 25 times elevated risk. So he was in the middle. So the next steps were like, well, you got to start preparing, you got to think about it. What is it? I just gave that guy intense anxiety for the next 40 years. You have an 8 to 10, like the anxiety itself will probably cause the dementia. That, what I believe is genetics is the starting point to functional genomics. Genetics is priority, not prescription, priority. Dementia is the thing I have to work on. Now, what does that gene do? The ApoE gene, it transports lipids around your body. It moves cholesterol around your body. So if you have the bad version, you don't efficiently transport cholesterol, which means that if you're sending cholesterol to your brain, it's more likely to develop plaque, which then leads to that cognitive decline. So the question should be, why was cholesterol sent to my brain if I don't transport it efficiently? Because of inflammation. Your body uses cholesterol as a tool to fight inflammation, which is why people get plaque buildup in their arteries as well. It's not a heart disease, it's an inflammation of the artery disease.
Getting the adequate DHA in your diet is critically important to this process. Now, on top of that, and this is what people don't understand, is that 25+% of the entire body's cholesterol is actually in the brain. Brain only represents about 2% of the body weight. But 25% of all the cholesterol in the human body is in the brain. And it's there on purpose. It's there as a membrane integrity molecule, as an anchor for certain proteins, for certain functions in the brain. And a little bit of the cholesterol is produced in the liver. A large part of the cholesterol needs to be consumed by the mouth. And in the brain itself, a small percentage of cholesterol gets produced. And these ApoE molecules have to transport that cholesterol to the brain for utilization and then across the blood-brain barrier for utilization. So cholesterol is a crucial, critically important molecule in the brain. Think about this, folks. What happens if you block cholesterol production with a statin? Oh, but the cholesterol is so bad for your blood vessels. Well, maybe not so much. But now you're on a statin that blocks the production of cholesterol in your body, and you're on a low cholesterol, low fat diet. How the devil is your brain supposed to repair itself? Especially if you've got the ApoE4 gene. So cholesterol and the consumption of DHA and of 3-omega fatty acids is critically important. Then the next thing that the brain uses is saturated fat. And there really are two sources of saturated fat. One is the diet, when you're eating decent amounts of fat, and you've got longer carbon chain fats that give membrane fluidity, give membrane flexibility, that are excellent in the brain. And the brain is capable of making saturated fats. How does it make those saturated fats? From sugar. So we need ketones, we need saturated fats or non-esterified fatty acids that get delivered to the brain. We need those polyunsaturated fatty acids, and we need the substrates for them. And that is so important in terms of blood-brain barrier function and also brain function, particularly if you happen to carry an ApoE4 gene, which about 30% of people in this country do. Anywhere from 30 to 65% of people carry at least one form, one allele. And if you carry both, that is a 20-fold increase risk for Alzheimer's. We'll test you or help you to test for the ApoE allele, for the ApoE4 gene. We try.
Remember, it's not the gene, it's epigenetics. It's how your body, how you deal with your genes, right? How you deal and affect your genetics, not the genetics themselves. I've always said this for years. It's epigenetics. It's not the genes, it's what you do to them.
Try not to report that because eventually life insurance and other insurance companies may hold that against you. So it's a little secret that you want to. Things that you can do for yourself to radically reduce the risk that as you get older, you're going to slow down the progression of or even negate the progression of Alzheimer's. And the first thing is give your brain adequate substrates. Give your brain ketones, not by consuming ketones exogenously, but by creating a hormonal pattern in your body whereby your liver produces those ketones in the face of low sugar production.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is the first guy's talking about inflammation, and then Dr. Chavez is talking about hormones, which is what I talk about both. Keep your hormones in balance. It's not by eating low fat and a bunch of protein, my people.
So you want low glucose, high ketone production by the liver as a substrate for the brain. The next thing is take in an adequate source of 3 omega fatty acids. Where do you get them from? Fish oil, small fish, your sardines, your mackerel, your white anchovies. The smaller the fish, and I know in this country we don't eat a lot of that, but the smaller the fish, the healthier, or you can get it in seafood.
And there you have it. Yes. It's not about avoiding saturated fats because you have MTHFR or if you have a ApoE4 gene mutation. It's about getting rid of the inflammation in your body, your toxic lifestyle, lack of exercise, stuck on coffee, eating processed food, drinking alcohol, whatever it is. Clean up the inflammation in your body and reap the benefits of saturated fat and cholesterol because it's for your brain and for your eyes and your organs and your reproductive hormones and the lining of your lungs. And every cell in your body needs fat. So don't scrimp on the fat and eat high protein even with a ApoE4 gene variant. You need it. Like Chavez was saying, ketones can actually help protect the brain instead of the fear of this variant not transporting cholesterol properly. It's about the inflammation in your body that creates the problem, not the food itself. Change your lifestyle, change your thinking, and let's get it. If you guys want to learn more, go to stephanieperson.com and book a consultation because this is the kind of stuff we got to figure out, right? You guys have all kind of stuff going on, and it is not about eating a bunch of protein and, just whatever fats. You need protein to build muscle. You need a lot of protein when you get older. Garbled nonsense. You don't need a lot of protein when you're in ketosis, when you're insulin sensitive. Everything is contextual, so be very careful with what you're taught about fasting and about, HIIT training or carnivore, whatever's trending. Be very careful. And I'm out. Oh yeah. I run a course, Stephanie Person You can find me on Instagram at Stephanie Ketogenic. Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. Of course, I run the course where I cover all 3 diets, because you guys can't just do one, even though you're told that you can, which is low carb, high fat, keto, omnivore, or carnivore. And the challenge will be popping in January, and I'm out. Peace.